This is WNCT 9 on your side, news at 10 on the CW.
Well, we had some typical summertime July weather outside today. We'll have more of the same tomorrow with one important difference. We're tracking a cold front that'll be entering into the state. That'll lead to a better chance of rain and maybe a few thunderstorms too. Now, when you wake up tomorrow morning, probably a quiet start to the day. Temperatures will be in the 70s around 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. By 9 o'clock, we're already in the 80s and we'll still be in the mid to upper 80s by around lunchtime. But as we head into the afternoon, the chance of rain and thunderstorms will be on the increase. So far tonight, all the active weather has been to our north, but by tomorrow evening, we'll have a cold front right on our back doorstep. It will be entering into a hot, humid, unstable environment that will lead to a better chance of thunderstorms, some of which could be strong to severe. That's why we're making Tuesday a first alert weather day. We'll talk about all the details hour by hour in your first alert forecast coming up. 9 at 10 on the CW starts now.
The chairs are packed, the stage is set, the Republican National Convention underway in Cleveland. Why Donald Trump is making history tonight.
Plus, we dive into how comedy and satirical sketches are playing a role in this year's election.
Then a home is a total loss in Pitt County after a fire this afternoon. What relatives say caused that fire.
And later, a farewell to a local police chief, what he says he's looking forward to in his next career move. Good evening, I'm Katie Harden.
And I'm Ken Watling. Thanks for joining us tonight. The Republican National Convention is underway. Many people taking the stage discussing everything from Hillary Clinton to Benghazi.
The emphasis of the convention tonight, to make America safe again. WNCT's national correspondent Jim Osman joins us now from inside. What's happening now?
So good evening to you folks in North Carolina. Here in Cleveland tonight, a pretty smooth convention under the theme of Make America Safe Again. Each night that there will be a theme as we go along that's tied to Donald Trump's Make America Great Again message. So what we've heard tonight are speeches about the Benghazi attack where 4 Americans died, as well as speeches about illegal immigration and illegal immigrants committing crimes. That's what we've heard so far tonight. Earlier in the day, I think, is when we really saw the dust up around 4 o'clock Eastern time, where some delegates took to the convention floor and protested the candidacy of Donald Trump and the eventual nomination of Donald Trump, which will happen later this week. They were not successful in changing the rules of opening the convention, so that dust up settled down as we moved into the early evening. We are still awaiting Melania Trump, the wife of Donald Trump, to come out and speak. We've heard from a flurry of senators and public officials, and we've also heard from regular folks here who have come up to the podium and talked about policies of Barack Obama that they don't like, and they are saying that Hillary Clinton may be a third term of Barack Obama. So we're covering the convention here in Cleveland for you. We'll be here all week, and we'll have another report live tomorrow night at the same time. Reporting live in Cleveland, Jim Osman, WNCT 9 on your side.
All right, Jim, thank you so much. Donald Trump expected to break tradition in Cleveland tonight by appearing on stage before he accepts the nomination.
Now, he's expected to introduce his wife, who is the key speaker tonight in Cleveland. Now, we're also hearing from some people from the east in Cleveland from the convention there.
North Carolina with a large presence with almost 300 people representing the state. WNCT's Josh Bird speaking with one local delegate about the convention so far and the role of comedy in the election. Josh.
That's right, Ken. A lot of anticipation leading up to this convention, with a lot of questions also still remaining. Trump certainly has been at the center of a lot of jokes, but Republicans say this election is critical.
The will of the people is clearly that they want Trump.
All across the country, voters in primaries spoke loudly that they wanted Donald Trump to turn the political system upside down.
Republicans here seem to be coming together. Most of the people that are going up to the stage, obviously, are Trump supporters. We're hearing a lot of good feedback.
Keith Kidwell is just one of North Carolina's delegates currently in Cleveland. Kidwell, known locally for being the chair of the Beaufort County Republican Party, knows the GOP candidate has been the center of worldwide jokes.
We have to create, number one, we're going to build a wall. Number two, we're going to... Okay. Oh, listen to this, even with your crowd, I hear that.
No, they love that. They love the wall.
No.
Just one of many comedians to poke fun of Trump, Stephen Colbert.
Mexico is taking our economy, and they're ripping it in two.
A video on YouTube of Colbert taking the mic at the convention stage last night already has nearly 2 million views.
2016 Republican National Hungry for Power Games. Look, I know I'm not supposed to be up here, but let's be honest, neither is Donald Trump.
But despite the jokes, Kidwell and many other Republicans say it may be the other side laughing come November.
Voting for a strong leader that is going to turn this country around and point us back in the direction of being a good, strong America.
And while on the phone, I did ask Kidwell about the security in place in Cleveland, and he says there's thousands of law enforcement, along with dogs, helicopters, and even snipers on the roof. He says they all feel extremely safe there. Josh Birch, 9 on your side.
All right, thank you, Josh. A Beaufort County woman is also in Cleveland. Plymouth native Kimberly Cotton West is serving as an alternative delegate. This is the 4th national convention that she's attended. She says that she loves her role that she serves.
I'd rather be in the upper alternate section because that's where the energy is. It's much more comfortable, and you can watch everybody else on the floor, the excitement.
Now, worth noting here, the satellite time for the interview you just saw with Cotton West was paid for by the GOP. Aside from actively participating, Cotton West is sharing her convention experience with her mom, who is a delegate for the 2nd Congressional District. Democratic presumptive nominee Hillary Clinton also spent the day in the Buckeye State. Clinton spoke at the University of Cincinnati, telling students the importance of exercising their rights as citizens.
Well, I can tell you it is not enough to yell at your TV screen. It is not enough to send a nasty tweet. That is not enough. You have to get registered and get out to vote in November.
Clinton also spoke about the recent shootings around the country. She says Americans need to put themselves in the shoes of police officers and African Americans who wake up not knowing if they'll return home safely.
Police continue to dig into the timeline of events leading up to the Baton Rouge, Louisiana shooting. Records show the gunman, Gavin Long, a Missouri native, made a stop in Dallas before heading to Louisiana. One barbershop says Long introduced himself as Cosmo. Barbers say Long stayed for about 20 minutes, never once speaking of violence or even anger.
I tell you, man to man, that it was absolutely nothing that you could have picked out of his conversation.
Meanwhile, Louisiana State Police Colonel Mike Edmondson says Long carried 2 rifles and a 9mm handgun in the ambush. Edmondson showed maps to explain how the gunman snuck up behind police officers and then shot them at close range. Residents here in the East are looking for change. During rallies, protests, and forums, many community members said they want to see a civilian complaint review board to evaluate situations with police and people. The goal to give people the opportunity to work alongside police.
That's what people want. They want to know that they have a voice and that they can be heard and that they're getting a response. We're not going to get the responses we always want, but just to know that sometimes that we're being heard and that someone cares.
We reached out to Greenville Police Chief Mark Holtzman, who says he's working to bridge the gap between community and law enforcement. And after recent police-involved shootings, many law enforcement agencies are experiencing an increase in recruits. Anyone who wants to become a candidate must get their BLET training prior to becoming a police officer or sheriff's deputy. The training is standardized across the country, but once hired, all agencies train new recruits based on issues in that specific area.
It's up to the individual agency that hires new officers to provide them with the necessary field training to be able to help them with their rules and regulations and policies and procedures.
Since the recent attacks, some agencies are working on different training techniques, which include how officers should handle themselves when put in certain situations.
Jacksonville's Freedom Fountain is turning blue to show support for law enforcement around the country. The city is using the hashtag #TurnItBlue to show support for the victims of the recent police shootings. On the city's Facebook page, Jacksonville Director of Public Safety Michael Yanero says for prayers for the officers, their families, and all law enforcement across the country. A Pitt County home is now considered a total loss after an afternoon fire. Take a look at this video. You can see flames coming up through the middle of the house on Mills Road. Pitt County Communications says the call came in around 4:30 this afternoon. The family's relatives tell us that their wife was at home at the time cooking cornbread when she left the room. They say when she returned, the flames had grown. Investigators haven't released an official cause of this fire at this time.
Governor Pat McCrory signed a bill today to make changes to one of our state's most controversial laws. The bill tweaks HB 2 to restore workers' ability to use state law to sue over workplace discrimination. There was no changes to the bathroom portion of that bill. McCrory says it's now a national issue that will be decided in the courts.
The search for a new police chief is underway at ECU as the current chief, Gerald Lewis, heads to Texas. His last day on the job is this Wednesday. Lewis announced his resignation earlier this month. He's heading to the Lone Star State to lead the University of Texas at San Antonio's police department. After only 2 years at ECU, Lewis says he's learned a lot here in the East, and he will have many skills now to take with him.
I'm looking forward to taking some of the skills that I've learned here and some that I had previously and translating those into my job at the University of Texas at San Antonio. Certainly joining with the community there, the staff, the faculty, and just looking forward to being part of their team.
The university announced today an interim chief who's no stranger to the university. Deputy Police Chief Jason Sugg will take over Wednesday until a new chief is found. Well, anyone who stood outside for more than 5 minutes today probably broke a sweat.
Even less than that. While many got to enjoy the AC, construction workers don't have that luxury. Coming up after your first alert forecast, why they say despite the heat, it's the perfect day for spreading asphalt.
And it's going to be every bit as hot outside tomorrow, but the big difference tomorrow, a better chance of thunderstorms, and some could be strong, possibly severe. We'll talk about a first alert weather day that'll be in effect for Tuesday coming up next.